And welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you for joining us live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, go find our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com, and go check us out on, what else have I not mentioned? Hive and Instagram. Go check us out on. Had to think about all these things. We're on too many things.
Did you though?
Yeah, I had to think about it because I don't know what I'm saying. I just say things.
We all know you don't know what you're talking about.
I just say things. Okay. I don't know why Godzilla's trying to eat the pineapples. Okay, hello. We're going to talk about some movies. Let's see what we got. Do you have anything you want to say? You have anything you want to say?
Hi.
Oh, okay. Well, that's it. Are you okay if we go here, or do you want to go somewhere else?
You go wherever you want. I don't care.
I mean, these are your options. Oh, you know what? I didn't check those. Yikes.
Yeah, there's new ones.
Oh, shoot. Okay, well, I'll work on it.
Well, if you want to do that while I'm talking about that first one then that you haven't seen, the Western.
This one?
Yeah.
Let's go there.
We'll talk about this one because someone's not prepared for the show.
I am so unprepared.
Hold on, let me get some agua.
Thanks, babe.
That is a 2023 City Blend.
All right, tell me about this movie.
So, the Outlaw Johnny Black, well, it's not it's just Outlaw Johnny Black, from some movies starring and directed by Michael Jai White.
Oh, wow. Has he ever directed before?
I think so. But it's the same team that got together that made Black Dynamite.
I'm already in.
Yeah, so if you don't know, Black Dynamite was a movie he did in 2009. It's basically like a parody of the blaxploitation films of, like Dolomite and all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of like over the top, goofy and silly, but it's really good. And it also spawned an animated series that the same cast did the voiceover, and Michael Jai White played Black Dynamite.
That was so fun.
Yeah, it was a great show.
Such a good series.
So anyway, so this movie, he'd been working on this movie for quite a while, and then I think he's been done with it for a year or two at least, if not longer. And it got stuck with some distribution, and then there was COVID, and there was all these different things that were going on. And then, of course, the strike happened. And so we thought it was going to get delayed. And he actually posted, I think it was last week, that he got one of those waivers that they could start actually promoting this movie to put it out and everything else. So it's finally here. And if Michael Jai White's involved, there's potential for some karate of some sort. And if train your body. And if you look at the picture, there's him in his cowboy outfit about to kick down the side of the face, so you know that you're getting some in there. This is another very much in the vein of Black Dynamite, but not as goofy, if you will.
Okay.
This one felt like it was more like a comedy action Western than a parody of a Western, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Not quite Blazing Saddles level comedy. It's more a lot of subtle stuff, but there's him karate kicking and chopping and stuff like we love to see. It's got a lot of the tropes. There's actually though some homage to films like Billy Jack. What was the other one? Blazing Saddles. So they too take some nods from that and kind of do some scenes that are kind of mimicking things that they did in those movies as kind of a, hey, tip of the hat to them kind of thing. But it's a fun flick. It's pretty simple. It basically follows this guy, Johnny Black, who's trying to avenge the death of his father. He vows to gun down the guy that did it, becomes a wanted man. He goes into hiding, posing as a preacher at this small mining town, and then ends up becoming, kind of their hero kind of thing. So I thought this movie was awesome. It was funny, it's silly, it's stupid, it's entertaining, but they went on fully in on the Western aspect of it. So they didn't try to go cheap and silly. It is more of a lower budget independent type film. But it's shot well, it looks good. Going in, if you've seen Black Dynamite, the kind of ideas you may be getting in. But again, like I said, it's not as silly and goofy. They throw in some martial arts stuff. It's not a full-on martial arts flick, but they throw some in there with him kicking and punching people, and but there's a lot of shootouts and quick draws.
Because I hate that when you know that these people do martial arts are really good, and then they don't do it. Like sometimes it's disappointing.
It is, and I've interviewed a lot of them. I've interviewed a lot of them, like him and Scott Adkins, and I've told them and Martin Costco's that nothing frustrates me more than watching a movie they're in and I never see them fight. But at the same time, you have to look at the
I know
performer
they're
side
probably
of
trying
it,
to get out of
that they want
that.
to do other things, you know. And Michael Jai White's one of those guys he's a wealth of knowledge of martial arts, and he has multiple black belts, and he kind of just oozes that energy and that presence of his training and what he does, and takes it serious. So he tends to put some sort of that in everything.
Yeah.
Even if it's, except for like his Tyler Perry stuff and
Yeah.
the TV shows he's done.
Would you like a cookie?
Well, thank you for interrupting me with a cookie.
From the Honolulu Cookie
We're still
Company.
milking this. But it's a fun flick. I really enjoyed it. I think it's funny because it could kind of be saying it's set up like in the same world of Black Dynamite. You know, maybe this is a descendant of Black Dynamite,
That's
even
funny.
though it's not.
That's hilarious.
Anything like that, but it is at the same time. So if you like Black Dynamite, give this movie a try. It knows exactly what it is. So don't go in expecting like a Clint Eastwood Western or something like that.
Fun.
It's a fun
Looks
flick.
like it's fun.
Got some martial arts. I've had this thing for years and years and years, that I've always wanted to see the Expendables. This is before the Expendables came out, but I'm using that as an example now. Expendables with martial artists, but in a Western. Like I always wanted to see like almost like the Magnificent Seven, but it was a martial arts flick, and it was like Steven Seagal and Jean-Claude Van Damme and Olivier Grenier and these guys, Don Wilson rolling up and then just jump kicking and ass whooping and cowboy hats. And what's cool is I have this one, but then Cynthia Rothrock is doing a movie called Black Creek, and it's nothing but martial arts people.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's a Western, so I'm very excited for that one as well.
Sounds exciting.
Anyway, you check out Outlaw Johnny Black. It's in, I'm assuming, limited release theaters now from Samuel Goldwyn Films. But
alrighty,
if you want something fun and new, go check it out.
Okay, sounds good. You know what? This is so random, but I'm liking our lighting. I know nobody cares but me, but I think we look good. Look at this.
I'm telling you, I think building the shelf ricocheted takes the light ricochet off of the wall.
And this room has better light bulbs and lighting. That other ceiling was too high.
Yeah, but the light can sometimes ricochet off these lighter walls, and this wall's not there
and
anymore.
I have the light set up, so it's probably I mean, it's not on, but the screen maybe.
Yeah,
the
but
white
the lights,
screen.
this wall no longer exists.
Yeah.
So we built the video shelf. You can kind of see it.
We're
back
like
here.
the same color.
You can see the back here.
You're Mexican now.
Or are you white?
I'd rather you be Mexican. If you could be any other thing, what would you be? Any other race but your own?
To be honest, I've never actually wanted to be another race.
If you had to be.
No, I know. I'm just saying. So I've never really thought about it.
I haven't either.
But
I'm happy with what I am.
It's interesting because I grew up around predominantly Hispanic.
Yeah.
My entire life has been around Hispanic people. My best friend, my martial arts instructor. It's Pancho's Mexican buffet.
Pancho's Mexican buffet.
But my whole mental vibe is all Asian from martial arts and even some food and everything else. So I'm thinking I might lean more toward the Asian world only because I love the culture and I might have been training sooner. I know it may sound a little racist.
It's interesting because I was thinking about this too. There was this whole segment on YouTube. I watched the YouTube videos all day long. And
I mean, I started training when I was 9. I don't know how much earlier I needed to be training, but
4. As soon as you could walk.
Yeah.
I was thinking that too. You know what I would probably pick is something along like Filipino.
You'd be Polynesian.
Yeah, something. But I mean, it's Asian inspired. But I feel like culturally, their family is like my family, where you know you always stay together. There's always rice. There's
rice.
They're culturally very religious people, very family oriented, and
mine's solely based on fighting.
I think some of the languages, like Filipinos, like there's some words that are kind of Spanish-y, so I feel like I could fall into that easy. Anyway, so we'd be Asian.
I don't know how Outlaw Johnny Black took us there, but okay.
All right.
Anyway, it's available now, and I had a blast with it, and everybody there looks like they're having a blast.
All right. Do you want to go here?
Whatever.
All right. This is.
Do you want to do the stuff from last week first?
Yeah,
instead?
yeah. Let's do that.
This is this week.
Yeah, let's go here. That's fine.
That one and the other big one was the last week.
This one? Yeah. Okay, we'll go there.
So pick whichever one.
We'll go here. All right. So we are talking about the movie Sitting in Bars with Cake, inspired by the true story and the book of the same name. It's now available on Prime Video if you want to go watch it. It's the story of these two girls. They're best friends, lifelong best friends since they were children. They move out to go to college and go to school and get a life and get jobs and all that. And one of the girls is an excellent cake maker. And it's really interesting, by the way, all the different cakes that she makes. And I like that we see the names and the ingredients. And like, that's pretty cool. Like, I like me some baking, but dang.
Well, she's into the baking, but she's not so good at the socializing.
Correct. So one day her friend is having a birthday. She brings her a cake to the bar. And suddenly all these guys start gathering around like, oh, what's in this cake? And what did you do? And that's where the idea is spawned that they're going to take 50 cakes to 50 different bars to get this girl to meet a man.
Yeah, they want to get her basically dating or late or something.
Yeah, something.
So they build a chart. So the thing is, this movie goes in a direction I was not anticipating.
Me either. I was thinking romantic comedy. This turns into a hardcore heavy drama, guys. It's like, wow. But it was actually, I really enjoyed it.
It's a good movie. I'm a fan of Yara anyway from Blackish and then her show Grownish before they passed it over to the brother that took over. But yeah, I actually enjoyed it as well. Didn't have a lot of interest in it other than her because I was a fan of hers.
Yes. And the other girl you may have most recently remember, she was the main girl in the new Hellraiser movie that came to Hulu.
Yeah, not Pinhead, the main
victim girl
whatever
technically.
You want to call her.
Or is she
the heroine?
Is she a survivor?
Yeah, the heroine of the film.
Yeah. So, anyways, wow, this went in a crazy direction. We're in the middle of the movie, and we're like, wow, what is happening?
Yeah, this
is not a romantic comedy.
No, it's got a romantic comedy vibe on the first half, and then the second half is life drama.
But too, it's interesting because I feel like the core relationship, no matter what's happening, are the two of them.
Yeah.
That real lifelong best friends. They show him videos and pictures and stuff. Like, they were friends since they were like 5 or 6 years old since school. I mean, so what would you do to support your best friend that you say is your best friend? Would you do what this girl goes through the trenches with her best friend when, something really traumatic happens? Like, would we all do that?
I have a friend like that that's from that far back, and I know he annoys me on the phone. I'm not sure if I could take care of him.
I'm just telling you, this is rough. So, I mean, I think
thankfully he's married with his husband can take care of it.
Yeah, but I just like, wow, this is really a deep exploration into friendship and that type of love between these two girls. And, it's interesting. You see even their own family and their parents coming in and out, but their relationship remains the most stable.
And it's weird too, because it starts off, and I saw somebody complaining in one of the reviews about it, that it's labeled sitting in the bars with cakes, and then suddenly it's no longer dealing with cakes and stuff. I don't know. They must have weird cake fetish, but
it would totally get back to the
But
cakes.
yeah, it does a detour.
Yeah.
But that cake aspect is kind of the catalyst to not only the main story, but to circling back to the healing part of the story as well, and connections. And so it still plays a major part of their journey. And it's a heavy one at one point, but it actually, I think,
it is heavy.
because it was unexpected, I think it made the movie better, because it made it go something weird. It wasn't one of those where it detours and all of a sudden you're like, oh God, that's not what I wanted to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It was an unexpected, like, oh, we're really going to show their friendship and the depth of what they go through. And then you also get the family side of their visions and what they're dealing with, and then the responsibility of both sides and who's in charge of what, who gets blamed for what, and it's very interesting.
But then on the cake aspect, if you're into that, it does show you like the names of all the cakes and where they go, and then it's funny, they make this chart of, well, what was the result of this cake? Like, if she positive response.
Like, I think there was one, she got like
a kiss.
Well, that she got like a penis pic, and
yeah, it's like, what was the response? So it's interesting. This was just a really good movie. It was very unexpected, and then at the end it does a proper ending and tells you about the book and the real life people. So I was like, wow, this is a very impressive movie. I thought it was a really good job, Amazon.
Not too bad.
So yeah, it's really good. It's a little heavy, just so you know, going into it. You think it's going to be a romantic funny comedy about cakes and bars and guys. Oh, my friends, it gets deep. That's all.
Right.
It's like, whoa.
Sleeping in the bars with cake. Sitting in bars with cake is available now on Prime.
It's like, whoa. It got me in the feels right there.
I was moving my hat around to see if it'd help with my face lighting, but it's better if there's more darkness on my face.
Okay. All right, let's go to the other one. There was another.
I look better with this shadow over my eyes.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're going to go here. We're going to go in order. So last
Okay.
week.
Yeah, we ended up not doing a show last week because we had a big belt test.
Oh, big belt test.
And someone over here.
Nor the other movie.
Tested her for her 4th degree black belt and the TKD. And passed and gave me a concussion, I believe. And so.
I should post the video.
You can if you want. I don't think I actually had a cuss, but I had a headache for about 3 days. So anyway, so by Sunday, everybody, she wasn't the only one. We had a bunch of other black belts and people, any of y'all that might be listening, congratulations to everybody. They all did awesome. But everybody was exhausted, so we just opted to not do anything.
We didn't do anything. Say, where are the other movies?
They're on the shelf.
Can you reach?
Why do we need the physical movies? We don't. They know what the other movies are.
All right, so we're on Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. Continuing the.
Oh, my parents have them.
Oh yeah.
My mom borrowed.
Oh, I'm so excited. Your mom's gonna watch that. Anyways.
I was like, they should be right there, literally, but they weren't. So that's where the comedy ends.
I was like,
right
it should
there.
be right there. Huh.
But
anyway.
So she's a huge fan of this series. I like the first one. The second one's fine, but I didn't care one way or another if they made another one and whatever. So I know she's been excited for this.
I've been looking forward to it.
I was a little bummed because the other movie that came out the same week is another one we actually are talking about today, but we didn't get to see it till this week. This movie won out on the movie I wanted to see. So, but
Sorry.
you know, it's all about making the woman happy.
You got to make those compromises, buddy. So we're back following our main couple as they navigate now the passing. You seen in the trailer of the father, and she's going back to Greece because that was his last wish.
Who actually died last year.
He
in
did.
Real life.
And I think also the dad of the other one too.
They both died in real life?
I think they both died in real life. So let me go check. So anyways, we got John Corbett and Nia Bardalos back in their starring roles. Okay.
She's also directing this time.
Oh, was she?
Yes.
Did she write this one this time?
I think she wrote all 3 of them, but she definitely directed this one.
Okay, well, good for her. Yeah, Michael Constantine. He passed in 2021. And then the other dad, where is he? Harry. Where's Harry and Rodney? Rodney and Harriet. Where's Rodney?
I don't know, which one are you looking at?
I'm looking at number 1. Let me go to number 2.
I don't think he was. Oh, yeah, he was.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Keep going. Keep going. Ignore me. Talk, babe.
Oh, well, you're the one talking about it. You were in the middle of giving a synopsis or whatever. Anyway, so this one they decided to go to Greece. And, of course, majority of the family goes to Greece. And different things happen, more shenanigans, and then another wedding.
There you go.
Pretty much the plot of every movie.
Every movie is the same thing.
Right? I will say this one's a little different than the first 2. And for me, it didn't always work this time. And that poster is awful. That head doesn't even look like it's her on her.
Oh, right. It doesn't even look like her body.
Yeah, they look like somebody tried to tilt her head and they didn't bring it down enough. So now her neck looks 50 feet long. I bet you're jealous because you don't have a neck.
I don't.
Now she has all the necks.
But
his neck looks super tall too. But that could be them. It could be the angle. Who knows? Anyway, they could just be giraffe people.
Probably.
But it was funny when it's funny, but I felt it was very slow at times, and I also felt like it was limping along. It felt like some of it felt more forced than the first 2. The dynamic just didn't seem the same, and maybe because they took it out of their normal house and their normal life, they didn't have that same vibe.
Yeah.
You know, but when it works really well. It wasn't a bad movie. It just didn't work. It wasn't as entertaining like the other ones, even though I had no interest in seeing them when they came out. They sucked me in and I became entertained.
Correct.
This one I was looking forward to being entertained, but like the first 2, and I was kind of like, hey, this is how I felt like I was going to feel seeing the first movie.
Okay. Well,
if that makes sense.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you, and it makes me sad. I think the first one is the best one. I think it was the most original. It was the funniest. You get the moose caca joke. I mean, you get the stuff for the first time. So it's really inventive and creative.
Well, and that first one was an unexpected hit, too.
Correct.
Kind of came out of nowhere. Nobody knew who she was and what was going on.
And then the second one was okay.
The second was essentially a rehash of the first movie.
It's okay.
It's what I like to call the Ace Ventura formula, which
Correct,
it's remaking the first movie with a different scenario, but it's the same jokes.
And then this one is just really, I agree, it's so removed from their insular, overbearing family that I think it gave it too much space. That they were like, what? Because it was too much.
Well, and the problem is I think they infused too many stories.
Yes.
Because one of the stories here is, or the main story is, she's trying to find her dad's friends.
Right.
From his childhood.
Correct.
To try to get them back together because they agreed to do something. Right.
Yeah,
and so that should have been the story. That should have been the traveling. That should have been her running around and meeting people. And and you could have met a whole bunch of different characters, and you can infuse the rest of the family. But I know they felt, because it's kind of the title of my big fat Greek is the family, is they need them there, but then it infuses that. Then it infuses another family aspect, and then the brother gets a storyline, and then they have these other people brought in, and then there's other people in their wedding storyline, and everything's getting bogged down. So by the time we get to the point of finding the guys and who's still around and who they do find and who they don't find, it almost feels like, oh, well, here it is. It didn't feel like it mattered.
Yeah, it got lost, and that was the main.
It became a secondary like moment. It's almost like they forgot, oh, we got to do this, and then they walked up and go like, here's a quick scene, here it is, and everybody's supposed to be like, oh, but I didn't care by that point. I kind of moved on.
And there's that, and then there's the story of what's happening with her mom. And the mom was like weird. Like that whole thing was.
I understood what they were doing.
I know what they were doing, but it felt.
I felt like they should have done that at the beginning and then left it.
Yeah.
And not dealt with it again.
It was a lot.
But I felt like that was, for whatever reason, that's how they were bringing a couple of the other characters back into the story.
Yeah.
Which was just kind of stupid, because they went from not being able to do anything to these people are able to do everything easily.
Yeah.
And it's all a montage.
We need a montage.
As opposed to actual scenes and stuff. So you're not getting any of that real story.
Yeah. I agree.
And then I feel like they were trying to, they have a daughter stories as well.
Yep.
Then you have them dealing with
we picked that from the second one anyway.
Yeah. And then it's trying to deal with something with their relationship, but it's like their relationship issue isn't really even an issue. Mm-hmm. So it didn't warrant a movie for that. It could have been handled in a couple of lines and moved on, and so there's too much. It should have either been. And then
I felt like there was forcing the cousins in.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we have to have Nikki and.
This would have worked way better as a like mini series. Like had they done like an hour or 30-hour episodes, done like 4 or 5 episodes, they could flush it out.
Yeah. And
you could revisit the characters. You could go on a journey with them. It didn't feel like, it didn't need a movie. It didn't need to exist, but it didn't need a movie. They tried to cram too much, or they needed to make the movie longer, but I don't think they thought people were going to sit in this movie longer than what they did. So,
I mean, I think the best parts are still the ants because they're the funniest. And
even they felt like they were really being, people know they were the funniest, so they were trying to crowbar them to the front of the line.
A lot, so.
Because they were kind of taking place of the mom, because she's not really doing anything.
Correct. I don't know, man.
It wasn't horrible.
It wasn't horrible. It's just not as great as the first one, and I don't think we're ever going to get there.
Well, I didn't expect.
I'm sorry.
No, I didn't even expect it to be near the first one, because usually when you get into third, fourth, fifth kind of movies, it's rare.
Unless it's a slasher film or something.
It's rare that any of them are able to live up to what your first experience of any of those kind of things are, because you're walking into a blind, you don't know what you're getting, and then it's a shock. As much as I love the Saw franchise, that first movie, the first time you see it,
like,
and the shock of it, you're like, holy crap, that's awesome.
It's like, what?
Yes. And it's awesome now, even though you know what's going to happen, but there's never going to be that.
Because remember, we were in the theater, and the guy gets up, and I'm like,
we weren't in the theater. Remember, we saw that at the convention. We were sitting.
We were in a convention. Yes. Oh my gosh!
And they were showing it on a projected screen, and we were just in normal folding chairs.
Yeah, they're like,
with like 6 people.
It's like, hey, there's this random movie if y'all want to come.
Nobody
see
knew
it.
what the movie was or what it was. They said, "You know what Saw?" We're like, "Let's watch it."
Because we were just there, and then everybody was like, "What?"
It was. I'll never forget that experience, because it was such a weird, random.
Such a random thing.
So
the other one I'm thinking we saw at a convention. Was the one that was packed. It was that weird Asian movie with the tentacles going.
It was the
like ew. It was
the one where they drive the car. Was the
so bizarre.
The car was made out of human flesh.
Yes, but then the things were squirting out, and I was just like. Anywho, we digress.
That was at Frightmare.
I even took the time during this to do my research. I watched 1 and 2. We watched those together, and I watched the TV show.
Did you go back and finish watching it?
This would have been cute as part of the TV show.
That's what I'm saying. It
My
needed long form.
my problem with the TV show was that they changed some of the characters' names. They didn't have John Corbett.
I think it was a copyright thing. It's because when they, I don't know, depending on studios and this, when they make the show, and then he didn't do the show, and so
it was too much.
It
but
happens.
You know, the funny thing about the TV show is they were doing their best to get every famous Greek person in there, like a Yanni,
Right.
you know, and like whoever, and it was hilarious.
Yes, if you didn't know they did a show, they did a one season of a TV show.
Yeah.
It didn't
So,
work.
but anyways, the movie's cute. It is beautiful to watch because Greece is an amazing and beautiful place. Beautiful blue waters, beautiful skies, the buildings, the architecture. It's amazing. So that part's great. I do like the story though between her and her brother. I think that was an endearing moment. So I will give them
that
credit
again.
for
That should have been what that story, because that's their
That could have
story
been one whole episode
intertwined into the other story of trying to find the
of
friends.
the friends with the dad.
Those two stories are the only two stories in this whole movie that fit together to work together.
Yeah.
The other ones were offshoots, and clearly it was an offshoot to put a wedding in the movie. Because this movie has nothing to do with the wedding, and so because it's named Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, they felt the need they had to infuse in a wedding. And I get it, but why not say My Big Fat Greek Funeral? You know, I'm serious,
Right?
because that's essentially what it's about. And it's not the funeral of the dad, but his legacies, and
Yeah.
you know, or My Big Fat Greek Trip, you know, or something like that. I think that's how they should have done each of the films. They should have changed, instead of wedding, they kind of changed that undertitle and just say Big Fat Greek, and it's about a big fat guy. You know.
There you go.
Anyway, it's fine.
It's fine.
If you like the first two, you may enjoy this one. Just lower expectations a little bit and just enjoy it for what it is.
There you go.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 is playing now in theaters.
Check it. All right.
I don't know why I decided to jump in on your bag.
Thanks, babe. I appreciate you doing it. All right, now we're going here. This week's stuff. We watched this funny little movie called Theater Camp.
This is a movie that I normally had no interest in seeing.
Yep.
They out of nowhere they sent me a link to watch it. It's a Hulu movie.
Hulu.
I believe it got a little bit released in theaters. I don't remember. But it's one of those, like, the camp genre I wrote in my review that it's mostly known in the slasher flicks more than anything, but especially back in the 80s and you know, 80s to early 2000s, there were different camp comedies like Meatballs and Wet Hot American Summer, and even American Pie had references to summer camps and stuff, and so there's a comedy thing there, but there's a lot of comedies that come out from the camps that just suck more than not. The slasher ones tend to work because, you know, just they're gonna slaughter campers, but the comedy ones are hit and miss. So I love a good camp comedy, but I wasn't sure what we were gonna get.
Yeah.
This movie is actually really funny.
It is funny.
It's weird.
It's weird. It's out there, but then again, knowing theater people, it's not that far out.
No,
there.
it's not. It's kind of quirky and bizarre, and I love how it's shot. You know, like some of it's shot like a grainy vibe to show an old school vibe thing, and then it gets more current, and then it's got kind of a documentarian.
Because at one point you're like, "What time period are we in?" I'm like, "I think we're in modern times."
They're going back and forth in their clothes. But then they were singing a Post Malone song, so you know it had to be more current. So anyway, what'd you think?
I thought it was a lot of fun. It was silly at times, but I think that's the point. It's a little over the top. But that's how theater people are.
When
Everything's exaggerated.
I like that it walks the line of both paying homage to theater and then making funny of stereotypes of theater.
Correct.
Without being insulting to anything. It's, you know, it has every character is a version of what you would think in a theater production, whether they're the counselor or they're the kids. You know, you have the over the top gay guy, you have the very artsy people, you have, you know, and I love that the drama teacher is very dramatic about life and everything, you know, and it's like, then you have, you know, the lady that fakes her way into the thing.
Oh my gosh.
Which is hilarious. And then, you know, so the story is basically this famed summer camp that's a theater camp, obviously, and there's two ladies run it, and one of them has a stroke or heart attack or something, but she falls into a seizure or something.
She has a seizure that goes into a coma.
And so her son, who's not involved in theater, he's more of like an influencer, or wants to be anyway. He comes to help take over the camp, and they're starting a new thing, and they're trying to raise money, and it's every stereotypical storyline that camps have when the camps are going to get closed down and they got to do something to try to save it. It's all that stuff, but wrapped up in the world of theater.
Correct. I think my favorite is the lady, like you said, that fakes her way. She completely lies on her resume and she fakes her way to be a camp counselor or teacher. And she's like, we're going to learn stage combat. Now tell me what it is. She's like, but no, somebody tell me what is it?
Like they're literally, they're like trying to give like the metaphors of stage combat to the kids. And they're like, it's finding your soul as you express the violence of it. She goes, okay. She goes, but no, really, literally, what is it?
What is it? She's like, today we're going to do mask work. So she just puts a mask on and she's doing all this crazy things. And I'm just like, this is hilarious because somebody would actually teach that class.
Yes.
So,
and there's always somebody that lies about their resume to get into a job. And
yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. This movie's hilarious. And like you said, it's funny. It makes fun of itself. But then at one point, they put together a pretty serious, heartfelt production. And these, you know what? Some of these kids in this thing are really good.
Yeah, they were.
And the main guys are really good too.
I love too that they infuse all the normal general kids, theater type kids. But then they have that one kid that didn't really want to be there, but kind of finds his own voice.
Yes, he finds.
And there's
himself.
A great thing because he's straight. Mm-hmm. And there's this whole great thing about him finding himself being in the theater, but still be able to be straight. His parents.
And his parents are.
I don't want to spoil it, but it's just a funny moment. Funny. His parents see it and they're excited about it. And
it's so funny. I think too, Ben Platt is the main guy, which most of you hopefully know. He's the one that wrote and put together Dear Evan Hansen, which was a stage production. He won a Tony for that.
Yeah.
But then they made it a movie about it.
And him and his real life partner are in that as well.
Which is Noah Galvin, who I know from The Good Doctor.
Yeah.
He's done tons of Broadway as well.
And they're both in this movie together.
By the way, he does an amazing job in his role. You're going to see. It's crazy.
And the girl is the one that directed it.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or at least co-directed. If you scroll up, Mandy,
this one?
Molly
Gordon?
Yeah, if you scroll up to the top.
Okay, Molly Gordon. Oh, look at you, directors.
Yeah, her and somebody else, but she directed it.
Lieberman.
What is she from?
That's what I'm about to find out.
I've seen her in something that I watch. Scroll down.
She's in Booksmart.
I know, but hold on, go back up. What are you doing?
I'm looking at her stuff down here.
Hold on, everyone.
I don't know.
The Broken Hearts Gallery.
Well, we saw her at Good Boys. We saw Booksmart. Broken Hearts.
Yeah, I know I'd seen her in some stuff, but anyway. And the guy that plays her son is the guy from what is that family show? Oh my gosh, I just went blank. The Topher Grace.
Jimmy Tatro.
Yeah, he was just in The Machine playing
the Machine.
He played the young Bert Kreischer.
He's the young Machine. Home Economics.
He's the rich brother in that show.
He's so funny.
He's really good.
Just funny and so out of place in this because he's like.
Which is perfect for him because he's really good at being like that pompous jock goofball and kind of a moron, but also really good at expressing like heart and being the out of place guy.
Yeah.
Because he can exude that facial features of like, I have no idea what's going on here without saying it. And it's just really good.
It's funny. It's such a fun movie. I hope you will see it.
It brings everything you might want in this kind of thing. And whether you're a fan of theater or not, like I normally am not a big musical
not a theater
fan.
Person.
And I think the music was good in the movie. It was I think this is one that's actually, I hope it finds an audience because it's a fun flick.
I think it will with theater people.
Yeah, I hope
our friends was like, I want to see this.
I know. Hopefully they watch it. That's the first piece of people I thought of with them. I was going to message them and tell them to watch it. But anyway, Theater Camp is available now on Hulu.
There you go.
Even my buddy Freddie, who's mostly a horror guy, he posted about it and was like, oh, this movie is excellent.
Well, good. All right. Do we go? Which one do you want?
Let's go to that one over there. Even though that one's the newer one this week, that other one's a bigger movie. So.
Okay, friends.
All right. So the next one is a movie, A Million Miles Away. That's a new Amazon movie this week, starring Michael Pena, who we always like.
Love Michael Pena.
And I know you've been wanting to see this because your company, or the company you work for, one of them, actually knows the real life person.
Yes.
You've met him, haven't you?
I think on a call or something, but they booked him several times.
I know he's been in the office a few times.
I think he's been by once, maybe. I don't know.
Did he bring corn?
No. Oh. Anyway, so
tell us what this movie's about.
A Million Miles Away, like you said, starring Michael Pena, who, by the way, love.
He's excellent.
And at one point, I felt like he was going into the monologue from Ant-Man or something, because he's like, "So you see, when you do this and you do that, but okay."
He'll never escape that now. Yeah. You know, he's in the last season of Jack Ryan as well. He's
Oh, is
actually,
he?
but he plays like this crazy. He's not a bat, but he's like a killer type, and it's totally out of character, but he's perfect in it.
Love it. Anyway, so this is basically based on the true life story of Jose Hernandez, who is the first migrant worker to become an astronaut. He is not the first Latino or Hispanic. There's in total about 20 Latin or Spanish people who have actually become astronauts. But his thing is he was the first migrant worker, and it's really interesting to me because one time you see in the movie his cousin's like, well, who better than the people who've been in the earth to be like above the earth?
Yeah. Beto.
Oh, Beto. I'm so sad about Beto.
Who played Beto? I've seen that guy in a bunch of stuff too.
This is such a great movie, guys. It's really moving. Bobby Soto.
Click on him. What was he?
Hey, Bobby
What did he
Soto.
do? I know.
He looks so cool, doesn't he?
Tax
collector.
What was I noticing? Oh, the tax collector is what I watched him. I interviewed him. That's why.
Bobby Soto, you're so cool, man.
I interviewed him from that.
If I had to pick a different Bobby, I'm gonna pick Bobby Soto. Is that okay?
Rude.
Where's Bobby Soto from? I need to know. That makes a difference.
Garland, Texas.
No, that's you, baby.
Right there. Look. Interview with Bobby Soto.
Such a nice, cool, and he played such a good guy in this one too. It's okay. So we got to back it up. Boo, 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 boo. So in the movie, you see the little boy. He comes from a family of migrant workers. They're from Mexico, and they travel wherever they have to go to pick whatever they're picking that day, whether it's grapes or corn or whatever fruit. And it was just interesting because you feel like this was so long ago, but it's not. It's
not.
It's not. This still happens. And I feel like because I remember like my mom telling me like, yeah, she would go with my grandma. And mom's like, oh, I don't like this work. So my mom would go sit under the truck because she didn't like picking whatever they were picking.
Your mom doesn't like doing anything.
I know, but it's not like we're 100 miles away from this,
Are we a million miles away?
Sorry, a million miles away from this. It's like just a generation or so ago. This was still happening. I think it still has. I think there's still migrant people. People have to pick your fruit and stuff. So it's interesting. And, there's this one scene with his dad. He was like, well, this is your future. You're working with your hands and all this. And his teacher realizes that this kid's like pretty smart, man. He may not speak.
He's on to something.
He may not speak great English, but he's got some math up in that head.
Yeah.
And, the mother encourages the family to kind of like put your kids in school and give them a chance.
The teacher
encouraged them, like, let them go to school, give them a real chance at a future.
They were moving around all the time.
And you can't.
She uses the metaphor of a tree. If you keep taking it and moving it, it can't grow roots. And
what's interesting? My dad gave that metaphor the other day at church. And I was like, wow. Okay, this tree thing's catching on.
A Hispanic metaphor.
This thing's catching on. So
well, I like too that the hands played a major part of the storyline in this movie because he's talking about working with his hands and this. But then when they finally decide to let him focus on school and whatever else, he makes the kids hold their hands out and he's like, look at the hands, look at your work hands. He goes, these hands are going to do something. And he goes, but remember them now because this is your past. Don't forget where you came from.
Yeah.
Which is one of those things that I think is always an important story is there's sadly more people than not when they make it big or they do something, they start forgetting their roots, forgetting their heritage and forgetting what they went through to get there because they're so obsessed with the success.
Yeah.
And I think the people that are the massive success, the people that are a success but still have happiness are the people that have not forgotten what they did to get there.
And if you notice later on in the movie, the dad looks at his own hands. The dad, now he's an old man, and he's like looking at his own hands, and they're scarred, but they're smoothed over now. He doesn't have to do that work anymore. And then there's that point where before he goes into space, he's looking at his hands again too. And I was like, this is.
Well, I like too, like there's these little things that they could have easily Hollywood up, or they could have done more of a stereotype. And there's a moment. It's such a throwaway line, but if you catch it, how powerful it is, where he's feeling guilty about because he's not succeeding and he's not doing everything he was hoping he would do. Even though he's already an engineer, he's not in space. He's not doing these things. And he's talking to his dad about how they gave up their house and they did this and they lost the house because of him and let him go to school. And his dad just basically has this one throwaway line. He walks away. He goes, "We didn't lose the house. We gave up the house for your education." And it's that moment of saying, look, you didn't do that. We did that for you. So stop trying to carry that burden like you did something.
It's like, you gotta let it go.
That was a gift to you. It's those little moments like that mean all the difference of what these characters are saying and what it means, and why later when you start seeing more of those flashbacks, because it's easy, especially in a movie, to not really feel the impact of what people are giving up for the next scene. Because that same sequence when they decide we're not going to move anymore, we're going to go back to here and we're going to do this. As you're watching the movie, you're kind of like, yay, go to school, but you don't really always think about, okay, they took them back to school, but how'd they pay their bills and how'd they do this?
Like
and
they had to get different jobs.
And even the movie fades from that scene to jumping ahead into college or to his job.
He's in college.
And now we've missed all that time period of how did he pay for college? What struggles did they have? It's not important for this story.
Yeah.
But
read the book.
It's important to know. Well, I'm sure that stuff's probably not.
I want to find the book.
But it's important to then backtrack your brain and realize, oh crap, yeah, they must have really struggled so that they could go to college and go to this and not have the same opportunities they thought they were going to have.
Yeah.
So then it kind of makes the journey even more powerful, if you will.
Yeah.
This is a movie about perseverance as well.
Yeah, it's super uplifting and encouraging, and I was just crying all over the place, and it's such a good movie, and the guy's a nice guy. He's such a good guy.
Someone's super hormonal this week too.
Wow. Why? What was wrong with you, babe?
I don't know what's wrong with you, babe.
I don't know what's wrong with you either.
She was a tear factory this week.
I was. This thing was just
this one. There's other issues.
In the feels. This was such a good movie. Anyway,
it is a really good movie, and I like to give props. This is like the second movie he's done that is embracing the full heritage, because he did the Cheeto movie as well.
Yeah.
And it's not only embracing. I like seeing these. I like any movie that embrace the cultures of whatever the people that are in the movie. It's not necessarily just Hispanic because I'm married to you, but if it's Asian culture, if it's Indian culture, I like seeing cultures actually being put in there, because it gives it importance.
Yes.
Like, this is not another one. It's like it's like that Cheeto movie, the Flamin' Hot movie. It's not pushing their culture and their Hispanic agenda or anything in your face. This is what it is. Blue Beetle was the same way. This is just that family. And I think Blue Beetle could have easily gotten ignored and lost because of it not being overly original, but the culture and all that brings to it made it a fun movie that I thought made it better.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think that's what sometimes Hollywood doesn't really understand, is they think people aren't going to connect to culture unless it's just like your people. But I connect to it outside of, like I said, growing up almost all around Hispanic people. I connect to it because I'm like, hey, I understand this now. I just had this conversation with you about your life, and I understand. Like, again, with Blue Beetle, when we're talking about like the thing or the Eric Estrada stuff or different things, it's like I hear these stories all my life from my best friend or from my instructor or from you. And then so when I see it on screen, it's like you would recognize something that I explained. You're like, I know that reference, and then it has more meaning.
I think though too, if you allow yourself to learn about other cultures, about outside your own, and I think if people would start to branch out of your little circle, like if everyone in your circle looks like you may want to branch out a little. But when you allow yourself to do that, you realize how similar we all are. We're different. But we're the same. And I've noticed that in my travels. It's so funny. Like, I always tell my dad, I'm so thankful that he took me to Guatemala when I was little. And I would go, we'd go every couple of years. Because when I went to like Morocco, guess what? The people live the same over there. Or we go to Bangkok, and there's like a hole in the floor for the bathroom. You know what? It's the same in all these other, like, you go to all these different countries, and it's all the exact same. It's just different language.
Are you crying again?
Yes. Because it's the same. And I'm going to tell you, the one thing that connects the entire world is rice, and I can eat rice and anywhere I go and be happy.
Well, it's interesting. The whole culture thing, and not interesting, sad. They're sad that there's so many people who have a misconception of other cultures and what those other cultures offer, or they think they're above a bathroom, a toilet, and the floor.
Those are super fun, by the way.
They are. They're easy. Just
and you know what? When we're in the Tokyo and in the airport, that's the one that's empty. It's like, I'll go squat over a hole. I don't care.
But it's fast. Here's what always cracks me up is we talk about even with like your rice, but the one connecting thing from every single culture that will bring anybody together is food.
Oh yeah.
Because most people want to eat.
Oh yeah.
Right? And most people will eat something if it's good. The problem is it's that weird disconnect of like I'm gonna use Texas for instance.
Oh,
right?
Texas, we're out there, y'all.
Texas has this whole fight about build a wall, keep out the Mexicans, the immigrants stuff. But you cannot find a Texan alive that does not want to eat Mexican food.
Mm-hmm.
So you want their food,
Correct.
but you don't want those people.
Correct.
And it's just, it becomes really, it's like, yeah, but they're taking our jobs. No, they're taking the jobs you're not going to do anyway. And it's
these jobs like in this movie.
Yeah, it's you don't see, like my grandmother picked cotton.
Mine did
too. But I guarantee she was probably paid for it as opposed to some black people that might have been picking cotton at the same time because she was white.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that weird simplistic discrimination separation of I don't like these people because of this, but I'm still going to eat their food.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why would you, if you have, when people were blaming China for the COVID, the first thing that was one of the first and only times I've ever heard people saying they weren't going to eat Chinese food anymore. Right?
Go for it, buddy.
But I'm just saying they weren't going to eat Chinese food because they're going to have COVID in their Chinese
the
food.
Funniest thing is there is no American food. All our food is other people's food.
Yes.
Did you see there was this one interview with who's the little boy that plays Spider-Man?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. And he's talking with the interview about what's your favorite American food, and the interview was like pizza. He's like, yeah, pizza's not American. He's like hamburgers. He's like hamburgers are from Hamburg, Germany. He's like French fries. He's like, really, dude? Like there is no real American food except maybe potatoes and corn. But even so,
I guarantee there's stuff that was invented and created here. But it's like we're also a country that's founded by immigrants, and so to have the audacity and mentality to say we don't want immigrants in our country,
but we want your food,
which immigrants built the freaking country, and their entire thing, they want to fight for the Constitution, they want to fight for freedom. But the Constitution and the freedom is always about anybody that needs anything, come here.
Yeah, right.
Could we deal better with immigration laws?
Absolutely.
Of course. I'm not saying everybody should be able to just walk in, but we don't have visa laws here like they have everywhere else.
Yeah.
If they up that kind of thing. So
they do, but nobody enforces it.
That's what I mean. They don't.
But there was, what other thing were we watching? It was some documentary where the guy's like, you will accept my food before you accept me. That's sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad. But anyway, so that's where we're at too with this movie, with him being a farm worker, and then oh my gosh, he applied like 12 times to NASA.
It was more than that.
No, it was 12.
I thought it was more than that by the time we got to the end of it.
No, it was 12.
Oh, okay.
When he gets there, and he's like, you could just mail this in. He's like, my wife told me I had to come here in person. And I was like, yeah, that's how it works.
You know what? That's what I always tell people, like anybody looking for a job and stuff too. I was always told you go fill out an application, you wait a day or so, then you call them.
Yes, you got to follow up.
And nowadays everything is online and you wait, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's following. Like I told my kids, I told my friends, I said, when you apply an application, I said, have you heard from the application? Well, they haven't called yet. They said they'll call in a few days. I said, call them.
Yeah, you call them.
I said, you'll do one of two things. You'll annoy them and they'll be like, I'm not hiring them, they're annoying. Or they're going to see that you look like you're actually interested and you're putting an effort to be there. Maybe you'll put an effort to work. And you'll have a better chance of getting a job instead of just being a number in a file.
Correct.
So that's why I was annoyed with him before he actually went. I'm like, why does he keep mailing this? Like,
right? It's like, why don't you just go? But he did finally. Man, I'm just telling you, this is a crazy story. I would have died with the underwater stuff they have to do. Like, I'm out.
You almost died just going to our shark cage.
Oh my gosh, y'all, we're holding on to the shark cage. It's like, glunk, glunk, glunk. And I'm just like trying to.
I know we told this story during the follow up, but forget the shark cage. We went to the lagoon that's not, like it's only about this deep, standing, right? And so we were planning to go on this other thing. I'm gonna tell it again.
I'm so embarrassed.
So we decided we were gonna train for this scuba sub we were gonna do. Scooter sub, excuse me. We didn't end up getting to do it, but part of it is you had to literally just kind of go underwater about this deep.
No, it's further than
it's
that.
Not
it's probably
that.
like this deep.
No, the dome is out of the water when you
I know, but to go under the dome,
it is not that deep. Okay, here. This is the tall tale person. This is the eye caught.
Somebody told me I had to go down 6 feet.
So because you read dumb things, dear. So you literally were going to have to just go like this, like dive under, come up into an oxygen bubble. Easy, right? So she has a fear of swimming in water and all these things. She doesn't have a fear of swimming. She just can't do it.
I can't swim.
So that's how we know she came to this country legally.
I was born
So we go
here.
to this lagoon. We go to this lagoon and we get on our knees in the lagoon, and we're about this deep in the water on our knees.
I was freaking out, guys.
So I'm like, okay,
Freaking
all
out.
I need you to do is start off, put your face in the water and sit up. She did that. That was fine. I said, okay, what we got to do is we just need to dunk, come back up. When I tell you, we did it about 6 times, probably in 30 minutes. That's how long it took to do 6 times. Because there was a lot of convincing her, and you can do it, kid. And I trust you. I'm here to save you. Don't worry. And my favorite one is she finally does it. She comes up and goes, I did it. I said, dear, your entire back is dry. Your head, back of your head, you never went underwater. You just literally like splashed your face in the water. She would not go this way. She was always just this. I did it. And so like perfectly dry from here back. And she's like, I can't do this right now. I said, okay. So we go to get out. She stands up, and as she's walking around, I was like, honey, turn around. I said, look what you're doing. Now she's standing up. The water's down to here. I'm like, that's what you were afraid to drown in. And she goes, I know, and it was just.
You can drown in 2 inches of water.
If you drown in 2 inches of water and there wasn't a prior injury, you deserve it. That's called weeding out population. Like if you're not a baby or you didn't fall and hit your head or something, there's no reason you should be drowning in 3 inches of water.
Right.
Like,
I'm glad the grandbaby's learning to swim so she can save me.
Oh, Jesus Christ. She's gonna probably just stare at you and like, what is your problem?
I'm learning to float, okay? So just leave me alone.
That's the other thing I don't know. I mean, I understand a fear, and a fear makes you do different things, but like your body floats. So if you just tilt your body back, your body will float. You'll be fine. I don't know why everybody's all afraid of everybody. Anyway, this has nothing to do with A Million Miles Away. Other than training. There's a training water sequence. Anyway, check out A Million Miles Away on Amazon Prime now.
All right. Next.
This is the last one?
Oh, we're on the last movie. Yep. Oh my gosh, you guys.
This is the one that got bumped for a Big Fat Greek Wedding, and I know bet you agree with me now. We should have watched this instead.
Yeah, this was a good movie.
So this is the latest entry in the Conjuring universe, the Nun II.
So scared.
And I love the Conjuring universe. If you don't know all the Conjuring movies, it's the Conjuring. There's 3 of those. I believe there's 3 Annabelle movies. Then there's the La Llorona movie. And then we have the Nun, and now the Nun II. So it's got a whole series of them. And you can watch them in chronological order because they all kind of interconnect somehow. Like La Llorona, when it came out, nobody even knew it was connected.
Correct, until there's one little scene.
And fun fact, the guy that directed is Michael Chavez.
Michael Chavez.
James Wan was so impressed with his directing of that film, he hired him to do The Conjuring 3, and then he also came and did the Nun 2. So he's fully embedded into the Conjuring universe.
In it now.
And if I was him, I would just make Conjuring movies.
Right.
As long as they let him.
I'm going to post a link to where you can find all the list of the Conjuring movies.
So the Nun 2 is a direct follow-up to the original Nun movie.
Correct.
So you don't necessarily have to watch the other Conjuring universe movies to see either Nun movie, but there are a couple of connecting elements.
It's helpful to see the Nun
in the end that make it more like, oh, it circled back to this. You could technically watch the first Conjuring movie and you'd be connected. But if you want to see more about the Nun, go into Conjuring 2. Because that's when she's really fully introduced, and then this is kind of telling.
And put a link there in the comments to the list of films, and also it has the chronological order if you'd like to watch it that way. So there's different ways to do this. Oh, that's an interesting thing.
Look at that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, just the time period.
Okay.
Anyway, so the Nun 2 follows our survivors of the first film, where you have Sister Irene, is that what it is?
Yep, Sister
and
Irene.
Frenchie. This time, instead of having them together, they're in separate places, kind of moved on with their lives. But if you saw the original Nun movie, you know that there were some shenanigans still connected with Frenchie. So you were kind of assuming something was going to happen.
Yes.
But here, no shenanigans seem to be showing initially. And so basically, Sister Irene is brought in by the church again. They told her there's been an incident, and because she's experienced recently that incident, because it's like 5 years later or something, they send her to go investigate it. And then it's actually kind of in the same place where Frenchie is, and then starts being connected, and then chaos ensues.
Yep.
That's essentially the
Absolute
story.
chaos.
What did you think, madam?
Guys, I was so scared to watch this movie. This scares me.
We watched it at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon on purpose.
In an empty theater.
Yeah,
nearly.
we were the only people there until like right as it was about to
Right when it
start, 2
started.
people came in.
Okay, so the whole Conjuring universe scares the crapoli out of me.
The what?
The crapoli.
Oh.
The crap and the poli. All the crapoli.
Okay, all the crap comes out?
Yep, because it's based on demonic entities and evil, and I believe that is real. So I have to do a lot of prayer before and after watching these movies and before I go to bed, because I'm like, not today. So I was so scared to go watch this. So we go in there and we get there and the screen's dark. There's nothing on. We go get our seats and finally like Maria Menounos comes on. So I'm like, woo, thank you, Maria. Lighten the mood here. So the movie starts and immediately I'm like, oh,
it wastes no time.
What did I get into? Because suddenly because
it jumps right into like, burning creatures and
immolations, like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it does. It's not a build up like the other movie. It comes right in and like slaps you in the face and says, welcome back.
There's some evil in this church.
Yeah.
So it goes straight into it. You know what? And I like that we're picking up from the other story. Obviously some time has passed, but we're just jumping in it. And I would love to see more of Sister Irene if that were possible in some way. Don't know how that connects to anything, but
I'm torn on that because I love her,
yeah,
and I love her in these films, but even though there's still story sections to deal with, I'm wondering how many times can that same thing happen before we can be like,
But we don't get tired of the Warrens.
No, but they're going to a different story every time.
True.
Where she was dealing with the same character, unless.
But that's what I'm saying. Could we have different Sister Irene investigation stories?
That would I would love.
That would be interesting.
That'd be like the Pope's Exorcist story.
Correct.
I don't think that's going to get to have anymore. But yeah,
really? Did it not do well?
It didn't do well.
But it's based on a true guy. I want to go read that guy's books. Yeah. It's loosely based on that guy's life. He's no longer with us. Based on
just a book series.
But I think it was based on a real guy.
The movie's not great, but the Pope's Exorcist. But Russell Crowe is so fun in it. It makes the movie entertaining.
He's good.
Anyway,
you gotta love that.
I had a blast with this movie too. I really enjoyed it. It does. It does drag a couple times here and there as it's trying to build up and intertwining stories and this and that. But it always finds its way back, and in that last act, it just like punches you in the face. I will say the thing that annoyed me about this movie is in the last act. My God, the screaming seemed to be nonstop.
Was it too shrill?
It was just there was all these kids and then all the different girls, and they were all screaming at the top of their lungs like every scene. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, I understand when this kind of stuff. These are the things that we complain about when you see other movies. Like, why is nobody reacting to this crap? Now they're reacting like, could just shut up. Like that annoyed me a little bit because it just seemed like every scene was screaming, and maybe it's because I have it in my headset, and so I'm hearing it more than just in the room. So it's like screaming in my ear because I have to use the audio headset. So maybe it was that. I don't know. It's not enough that it messes up the movie. I was just like, shut up.
It was this guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was best. Anyway, yeah. The cool thing though too is we're in the middle of the movie and this lady shows up. I'm like, oh, it's the girl from Narnia. The girl from Narnia shows up. She's a grown woman now.
Of course, I mean, it was years ago.
Oh, sweet little Narnia. And in this movie, she's one of the teachers at the boarding school, and her daughter's there. And I'm like, man, she grew up and she had her kid, and now she's teaching school because she loves to read books in Narnia.
You decided it's in the same universe.
I decided. You know what? And
she had all those Narnia adventures, but she doesn't believe in the evil.
She doesn't really see it. Anyways, I like and am kind of disturbed by the fact that the nun always shows up in these old Gothic Catholic looking churches.
I think that's what makes the buildings kind of the characters.
It does. It brings
lends
them to
itself
life.
To some of the coolest visuals.
Because you don't expect a full burning priest inside a church to happen. Like
no,
that's
but
not
it's
okay.
also like there's like this one scene that's like a wall that's kind of broken and dilapidated, and it's if you had saw it without the flash of the nun, you would have never noticed it. But even when she's no longer there, you still see her face in the wall, and it's creepy. But you can tell
it's a good effect.
Yeah, but it didn't look like they built her face in the wall. At the same time, it was cool. But
yes,
I also like that they did step their game up in this movie, where the nun is not the only thing you're dealing with. and it made it. I love the other. I don't know if you want to call it a creature aspect that they did. That the other people were. There's one people dealing with one thing, and the other
that
people
was
dealing with
cool looking.
and the way
and
they
creepy.
shot it.
And it kind of reminded me. Wasn't there one of those creatures in one of the American Horror Stories or something
yeah.
like that? Oh, it was so cool looking.
Yeah, that added another element, and then you have the person that's possessed in the movie.
Yeah, like you got to give some shout out to Frenchie.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but okay.
What?
I was trying not to say who in the movie has gone fully crazy, but
we know.
I know, but we don't know. We just know that we don't know if it got passed or something on.
It's the
doesn't matter now. Someone spoiled it.
Sorry.
No. Anyway, but
yeah, he's a great performance. I'm going to give a shout out to Sister Irene because I think she's a great performance too. I think everybody did good, and there's a new little nun assistant with Sister Irene. She was good too.
The girl from the Missing.
She was good. Like
I will
expect her to show it.
And I hate to say this because it sounds racist, but she felt out of place initially to me. And I don't know if it's because she's black in that world at that time period. Right. But I'm glad she was there.
I agree.
Because she was really good and it gave diversity.
It added some. Well, and she told us why she's there. They sent her away.
Yeah.
Because, they're from Southern. She's actually from the United States. She's in this convent and wherever in Italy or whoever. And they sent her away because they're like, you're just a girl. We don't know what to do. Like, let's get rid of you.
It made total sense to be there. She's excellent in the movie. And it just kind of threw me off initially because I'm like,
there's this weird American black girl in the middle of the 50s.
Because everybody's English or whatever it is, Italian or whatever. And she just felt out of place at first. But then she kind of morphed her way into the film and became like she belonged. And it worked. And I think that was kind of a good metaphor to she was out of place as a person being in that country. She felt out of place being in this movie, but then somehow she belonged to all of it.
Correct.
And I actually really because I liked her in Missing, so I was glad to see her in this.
No, and I agree, but I like that she was there. And at the beginning of the film, the sister, Mother Superior, whatever of the convent, treats her like, this one again. Like we're tired of this girl. Battery is low. Do you have?
I don't have a plug in here.
Anyway, so
does it use the same plug as this one?
Yes.
If you run to my office, in the floor next to my desk, there's a cord.
Okay. Hold on. I gotta come finish my story.
Yeah, I'll tell another story while she's gone. But I think big props. This movie doesn't work without the lady that plays the nun, Bonnie Aarons. Like she is just outstanding with her facial features, the way she looks, the way she carries herself, her posture. She has become kind of one of the icons in horror just from her visual look alone. And this character, even though it's not to the level of Freddy and Jason, I think she's just so cool in that part that I think it just delivers.
Is it on that side?
Huh? Yeah, it's on this side. One thing I did have a major issue with this movie is that you just disconnected something.
Oh no, Sabini.
Did she do it or you do it? Oh, she just pulled it out with her leg.
We've gone dark. We've gone dark.
Hold on, I don't know if anybody can hear me.
Where is it?
It's on her leg right here.
We got it. We're back. Sorry, friends.
I don't know what showed and what didn't show.
Oh, there she goes again. Walking under the thing. Stop, Sabine.
Are we online?
I think we're still online.
Okay, yeah, I don't know.
Hold on.
Your battery's running low still.
I know.
Hold on, we're having technical difficulties and I don't know how to work her.
I
don't worry her dumb computer, so I can't tell you what happened or what didn't happen.
I have the exact same computer as you do.
Oh, that's right. I forgot this is the other one. I was thinking I thought this was the other computer. Sorry.
No, I don't have that anymore.
Or did she just disconnect this monitor?
She just connected that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We're on.
We have a separate monitor that lets us see what we're showing you guys, and so sorry to me. Anyway, one of my biggest issues with this movie was at the end, they decided to get all the nuns together to sing to save the church. And and Whoopi Goldberg shows up. It made no sense. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I was going to say having the black character in here was interesting because at the beginning, like I said, the Mother Superior is like, this one's the problem again. They keep singling her out.
Because she's
whether or not American. It's because of that, but American, and she's black. And we are, like I said, we're in the 50s. So, she's not welcome probably in her own country. The convent's having problems with her. But what I like is that Sister Irene is so accepting of everyone. And the girl wants to be with her. Like she latches onto her. And I feel like she's bringing the presence of mind of like a you, and I'm in Sister Irene. I'm all in. I believe in everything. And the one girl is like, I don't know if I really believe this or not. I'm just here because they sent me away.
Yeah.
You know, but
They need to
like,
set them up as like a buddy cop.
She's like, at some
buddy nun
point, she
movie.
tells her, you're gonna have to find your faith, because if we're going into this is like some serious business. So I loved it, and like I agree. It was like, huh. But then after a while, I was like, oh, okay, she's there. Cool.
Yeah.
We're accepting. We're going with it. Anyways, this was scary. And
I didn't think it was scary at all.
I enjoyed it. The story was good. It does kind of all circle back to the end. Somebody over here was getting very upset of where he thought the movie was ending.
Okay, so if you don't remember, I'm not going to say it, but if you don't remember the end of the first Nun, it circles back to the first Conjuring, the opening of the Conjuring. So if you just don't want to rewatch Conjuring, watch the opening sequence when you first see the Warrens, and that sequence of of him at the college that he's doing or wherever he's at doing a presentation about an exorcism. It's the Frenchie character that you find out from the first one. When you watch the Nun, you don't know that's who that is until it flashes back. So in my brain, I'm like, we all know that this movie is going to lead right somewhere directed.
Somehow it's got to get us back to that.
And it didn't, and I was pissed. And I'm like, oh no. I turned into her.
Well, because I was like, why is Frenchie still in this country? He needs to be going to the United States.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if that happened in the United States.
I don't know where, but I'm just
I don't think it was. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
But it doesn't end there initially.
It doesn't. They showed the video in the United States.
Yeah. So, but it doesn't in there, and I'm already. She saw me immediately. I'm like going,
and I'm like. Wait.
She's like, wait. And so we know there might be an after credit scene,
credits.
And there's a mid credit scene that still doesn't fully finish it, but it does connect it still. So you could tell that there's more there. And so that means what I would like to see is, we talked about this after the fact, is we know, because this isn't a spoiler if you've seen the first Nun movie.
Spoiler.
That I believe the Warrens were involved in the exorcism of him in that, right? It's not in this movie. I'm just going to tell you now. So that's not a spoiler. That's to let you know that is not in this movie. That's why I think it would be a great Conjuring movie, or the Nun 3.
Nun 3, that time period.
Where it says maybe the Nun 3, the Warrens, something, I don't know, Conjuring Begins or some crap.
Because
and we get to see that journey of those years that leads to that exorcism.
Because we know throughout the Conjuring movies that this character, this demon or whatever, keeps messing with Mrs. Warren. Like it's always there and present. And we hear throughout the movie that she kind of heard first about it when they were at Amityville, then later with this other exorcism. So it's there. So there's room to explore that time period.
And I'm going to say that the Conjuring universe is still alive and well.
There's this
after
one
the box office.
Yeah.
Because what?
They're saying this is in.
Yeah, that's with another one. So I don't know what the storyline is yet. But it was #1 this weekend. It beat out A Haunting in Venice.
Oh, wow.
But it says it has made almost 160 million worldwide since its release, and it was made for $38 million. Wow. So it's already a success.
That's good.
So we'll clearly get something else. There was another Conjuring movie they were going to make. I think
the Crooked Man.
Crooked Man has been canceled.
It's been canceled.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I don't know. I think it got lost in the COVID time.
I
think during that, so whatever. So anyway, like most horror,
maybe it'll come back.
Horror is subjective. So if you like the first Nun movie, I think you'll like the second one. But I know we had someone else climb in.
We haven't seen these short films. We need to go watch these.
We might have. I think I have to look them. They're probably on. I wonder if they're connected to like the Blu-rays or something.
Maybe. No. Anyways.
Anyway,
I think there's more we can do with this story.
Yeah, and I do hope we get another Conjuring, because there's still a lot of stories with the Warrens you can tell. I don't think they've ever actually told the Amityville part of the story. Unless that one is, I don't think any of those are the actual Amityville stories. Did
we deal with where they got the suit of armor? Or where they got the little monkey?
You know what the Asian armor thing?
Yeah.
No, they've only had 3 movies, so
we haven't seen any of these artifacts that they've stored. Now, I'm really concerned about who's blessing that house at the moment, or where that stuff is.
And she was all freaking out about that.
Freaking me out right now, but I'm gonna let it go. Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna say, who is blessing the Warrens' house now?
Yeah, what we got?
Okay.
Or it's my
That's
turn.
it. We're over to you, kind sir.
Sorry.
So go check out the Nun 2 in theaters now.
It's a little bit of a smaller week right now. There's not a lot of brand new big things. There's a lot of old stuff being released. The Lost City of Z with Charlie Hunnam's getting a 4K release. Some movie called The Dead Mother is getting a 2-disc limited release. I don't know what that is. What?
We can go see the museum in Connecticut.
Let's go.
But it says you are required to bless yourself before you enter. Oh my God.
Let's go.
I am so scared.
I'd go in a heartbeat.
Oh my God, no. Because what if something tries to attach to you?
We'll be blessed. The Trial Criterion Collection. The Little Mermaid is finally coming to Blu-ray and DVD. The new one. And I'm super excited. Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon is getting a 4K release.
You are the last dragon.
I was told it's on the way.
We're getting it?
Yes.
Nice, we can go put our costumes on.
The problem is I don't know if they sent it to the right address. So
oh my gosh.
So I got to track and find out. Okay. But ironically enough, this past weekend I went to Retro Expo and I actually got to meet Ernie Reyes Jr. finally from The Last Dragon and the Ninja Turtles and a bunch of other stuff. So anyway, that's pretty much it. That's all it's this week.
Okay. Well, coming out on the line or at theaters, there's a lot happening. Let me get there. So starting Monday, coming now to video demand and digital, if you did not see it in the theater, is the movie Past Lives. We talked about it here on the show. This is the one about two childhood friends. The girl moves to the United States, and it's one of those what could have been if we had stayed together kind of things. This movie to me was sad and devastating.
Oh, it's only what he's seen.
Yeah, okay. But it's now coming out on the line for those who hadn't seen it.
It's an excellent movie.
It's excellent, but it's not where I thought we were going, and I just thought it was like heartbreaking.
We thought it was going to be a romantic comedy kind of drama.
Like, I missed you, but now we get to try again, and it was like, whoa.
And not what we thought.
And the thing that kills me is when he comes, he's like, I did not expect to like your husband, and I feel bad. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Coming out on Tuesday to video demand and digital is an animated feature called Swan Princess, Far Longer Than Forever. So if you're into the Swan Princess stuff, there you go. Also coming out on video demand and digital, this looks interesting. It's called The Jessica Cabin. It's this romantic getaway. The guy ends up there by himself through a series of events, but he finds out he's actually not alone. There are two lonely spirits there, and they don't want him to leave. Coming out to Netflix, it's a documentary called The Saint of Second Chances about Michael, is that Vick? Mike Vick?
I don't know who that is. But okay.
Hall of Fame, his father is Hall of Fame baseball owner, Bill Vick, and it's basically following his life and his attempt to just kind of redeem himself from the bottom, work his way up. Okay, Friday. There's a lot coming out on Friday. Coming to theaters is the movie Dumb Money. This is the one about the GameStop stock trade stuff where these people were making millions of dollars and all the actual traders were losing tons of money. So this is the one with
Can I interrupt you
Pete Davidson? Yes.
I knew that I thought I was sort of wrong, but okay, so we were talking about the Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
So the only connection
that was the Warrens.
Yeah, the only connection they had to it is they went and investigated it years later. Oh. They didn't investigate it when it happened.
Okay.
They went with like a TV crew and investigated it and said it was the spirits there, blah 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 blah. It is depicted, that little portion of what their involvement in the beginning of Conjuring 2. That's when they're with they go and are investigating the thing with the house there, and they do a seance, and that's when she has a vision of reliving the things and sees the demonic nun character. That's where we first see it. Then it jumps the year later, and they go to London and deal with the other case. Oh, so it's just the opening of that movie, and that's really probably all we need because that's all the connection they really had to it.
Okay. Would it be interesting to see that though as a movie?
No, I don't think so, because I think that all they did was like one visit and they did like a seance kind of thing and investigated it. So it was like I think what they did at the beginning of Conjuring 2 was really all necessary to connect them to the Amityville.
But if we could see where they got all the other artifacts that they were holding, that would be interesting movies. Like even if we did 2 cases per movie or something, who knows?
Yeah, sorry, continue.
So coming out Friday to the theater, the movie Dumb Money. This is one with Pete Davidson and Shailene Woodley and Paul Dano and Seth Rogen. It's the one where the people were buying the stock for GameStop. So it's going to be interesting. Also coming out, Expendables 4. A bunch of people, Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren,
I don't know how I feel about the new members.
I don't know about Megan Fox and all that, but Tony Jaw's there, so you'll be happy.
And Iko Uwais is there.
Iko.
I'm fine with 50 Cent being
50,
there.
Andy Garcia.
50, yeah.
50.
I'm not
We'll see.
anti Megan Fox. I just don't know.
Why don't we have what's her name back? Why is Rhonda now in this?
Rhonda Carpenter.
Rhonda.
Oh, Rhonda was just thing. But Charisma Carpenter was the love interest in the first two movies.
Yeah, but
for Jason Statham.
who knows?
So I don't know.
Whatever. All
but
right.
I think in the first two movies she was breaking up with him all the time anyway.
Yeah. All right. Coming out to Netflix is Spy Kids Armageddon. This is now the children of the Spy Kids.
Was that this week?
Yeah. Coming to Netflix. This one.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about Creation of the Gods, Kingdom of Storms. I love it because it already looks like an Asian action drama. I am in. Anytime you give me those kinds of things, I'm sensing some good fighting. Coming out to Hulu, No One Will Save You. It's this lonely lady named Bryn who decides she's just going to go hold up in her house. But she begins to hear strange, and it says unearthly noises and intruders in her house. So I think it's going to be kind of scary. Coming to Prime Video, looking forward to this one, the movie Cassandro, about the gay amateur wrestler from El Paso, starring Bad Bunny. So that'll be interesting.
And it's interesting too because this one, that guy, if you don't know or you don't think you know, that guy has shown up in a bunch of different stuff. Like he was in that
Bullet Train.
No, I'm talking Bad Bunny. I'm talking about the actual wrestler person.
Oh, I'm talking about Bad Bunny. And he was on wrestling.
If I'm not mistaken, that wrestler, Cassandro, is the one that's in. Remember that Larry the Cable Guy with that thing, that gay wrestler guy with the blonde hair.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure that's him. Yeah.
So we have seen him. We just don't know.
There's a couple other reality show things we saw that he was there.
Okay.
So, but he's apparently like one of the biggest things over there.
Wow. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's the same.
Nice. Coming to Peacock starting this week is the new series, The Continental, from the world of John Wick. Excited about that. Also out on Video Demand and Digital, the movie Lift. This is a documentary following children impacted by homelessness. So it's going to be kind of interesting, but how they can find self-expression and freedom through dance. That sounds exciting. Video Demand and Digital comedy called Everybody Dies in the End. It says cult horror director Alfred Costello has decided to make his ultimate masterpiece, but it sounds like a little bit crazy and over the top. So we'll see. And then coming to Apple TV Plus, a new series starting up called Still Up, following some insomniac friends and their way through just life, I guess, as insomniacs. Who knows? Video Demand Digital, neither confirmed nor denied during the Cold War era. This is a documentary on some CIA secrets during about a Soviet submarine that may or may not have been in the Pacific Ocean, because, we can neither confirm nor deny this information. Saturday, I know we're all looking forward to this.
Oh, it comes out Saturday?
It's coming out on Saturday. The new movie, Paw Patrol, the Mighty
weird. That's when my
movie.
Screening was going to be, is on Saturday, too.
Oh.
I guess they did it on
just
release
doing
day.
It on the day.
Interesting.
Guys, I'm somewhat upset about this, because if you watch Paw Patrol movie on the TV, it's the exact same story. Person. But they're just revamping it and giving them powers again. But they already got powers when the meteor hit the planet.
It's a movie version of the TV series.
It says it's the big screen.
You are a grown woman complaining about Paw Patrol.
It says it's the big screen sequel, but it's the exact same movie as the TV movie.
It's a big screen sequel for the
TV movie.
No. A big screen sequel to Paw Patrol, the movie that came in theaters already.
I know, but the TV movie is this movie. Okay.
But it's separate from that. It's a sequel to the theatrical release that came out that is also separate from the TV show.
I know, but it's kind of a redo of the TV movie.
They did. They took the current thing and they remade it with a budget.
I know. But the one on TV is cute.
Why are we fighting about Paw Patrol?
Because I watched so much Paw Patrol with this kid. Who knows? That's all. I'll turn it back over to you. I'll let it go, Paw Patrol.
You're a weirdo, man.
I know.
Guys, gals, the things this woman get mad about, it gets all worked up. It's baffling. I can't even explain to you the amount of weird ass arguments we have over the dumbest things. Oh, nothing on the screen. Thank you. All right, let's talk about giveaways so I can get away from this show.
Wow.
We have some new ones added to the mix this time. We got 3 new ones. We got Gangnam Zombie coming out, which we'll be talking about that. I don't know if it's this week or next.
No, it's cool.
It's an Asian zombie flick. We still got a few copies of The Flash on 4K. Not that Flash. Although that Flash was at Retro Expo this weekend.
Nice.
And so was, well, you didn't get this, but so was Punch and John from Chips. So I hooked my lady up because she's an Eric Estrada fan because she's Hispanic. And so
it's true, actually.
It's funny. I have to tell you before we continue. I said, "Dear, do you want an Eric Estrada autograph?" She goes, "I sure do," because that's her go-to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, so I'm like, "Okay, I'll get you chips." She goes, "But what I want is something a Camino."
Dos Mujeres Un Camino. There was the Mexican telenovela he was in.
Yeah.
All in Spanish.
She goes, "That's."
He did it all in Spanish, which was a big deal.
Pretty much understood since it's telenovela.
No, but that was a big deal for him to do something in all Spanish.
So anyway, she was like, if you have this, and then we're in the bathroom, I'm trying to get ready for class. She's showing me pictures from the show. And so I'm like, okay, I won't remember anything of what you're saying, but I'll ask him when I get there. So I get there, and of course, there's tons of Chips stuff. Yeah. So I find a picture of Ponch and John. I'm going to eat that one. And I'm like, my wife is Hispanic, and she wants something about Camino telenovela you're in. He goes, right here, there's like 3 photos. And one of the photos is the photo she showed me. So I'm like, okay, I need to have one of those. So I made it out to her. And then I got his autograph on, and he signed it to Drusilla, whatever. So I go over to John.
Ponch and John.
Name's not John, but the guy that played
John Baker.
Yeah. Not to be confused with Jodan Baker, the actor. And I got over to him, and he's like, oh, do you want me to sign it to John? I said, no. So I'm white, my wife's Hispanic. Sign that one to Bobby. So now our autograph has to Bobby from John and to Drusilla from Ponch. So that's
not racist at all.
It was hilarious. And he's like, I don't want to be involved in this. I said, she'll find it hilarious. Don't worry.
It'll be funny.
And so then jump ahead. I'm in line for all the Ninja Turtle stuff that's happening. That's what the big thing. This was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Celebration. They had the original April O'Neil from the first movie. Okay. They had the guy that played Robbie Rist, I believe his name, played Michelangelo, at least in the first one, I think. Ernie Reyes Jr., who played Kino, but he was also in the Donatello suit for the first movie, but he was Kino in the second movie. And then I just went Bobby Tochi, I think is what his name. Is that right? Anyway, he was Leonardo in all 3 live-action movies. Then they had the guy Francois something or other, Chow, that played Shredder in the second movie. So they had all of them there at the same time. And let me tell you about a madhouse. If you think the Ninja Turtles aren't popular, let me tell you something. I waited 6 hours for 3 autographs. I walked right up to Ponch and John and like, hey guys, bye. So it was crazy.
And I was going to tell you, I was going to apologize if my autographs took up any time.
I figured it would be busy. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think they knew.
I figured Ernie Reyes Jr. was going to be busy.
Correct.
And then when I remembered who Bobby, the guy that played Leonardo is the same guy that played Takashi in Revenge of the Nerds. He's in Police Academy. He's in Star Trek. I didn't tell you this either. He's in Next Generation. He's in probably an episode or 2. And he had photos of it. He was a little kid in the original Star Trek as well, was Kirk and all them on the 60s show. Wow. He had photos of that. I'm like, what? So like I when I realized that was him that played that character, I know, okay, he would have a big line too. The biggest line was for Judith Hoag that played April O'Neil. She was in 1 movie. I'm like, it's Judith freaking Hoag. Who cares? The guy that played Shredder, who was in.
Somebody was angry.
And she's the one I didn't want. The guy that played Shredder was also Quick Kick in G.I. Joe. He was in Lost. He was in that samurai video game that came out that everybody was talking about. He's in that they're making a movie of. The guy that does John Wick is making a movie of that. So anyway, so that was craziness. What were we talking about? How did I get this? Anyway,
waiting in line.
Anyway, moving on from that. Sorry. Also, we have copies of Goodbye Monster, the animated flick, and a new one, Creepy Crawly, which I have no idea what it's about, but I think
it looks kind of creepy crawly.
I think it's a Thai horror film. I think that's what I told you.
Oh, I love that. Because they make some good stuff. They were the ones that made that monster submarine thing, right? Was it that one? The bloodiest movie we've ever seen?
You know about Project Wolf Hunter hunting? I don't remember if that's Thai or Indonesian.
Oh, well, I
But
don't
they're
know.
both usually. But I think Creepy Crawly is Thai. We'll be talking about that soon.
I
too.
love Asian horror film because sometimes they're so like out there that it makes sense.
I'm
and
glad you
sometimes
brought
it
that up.
doesn't.
So Project Wolf Hunting
Yeah,
is an extremely violent movie, but is it a horror movie?
it's not. I
You
think
think
it's
it's
a
more of an action
monster.
movie?
It's like a monster movie.
You
Or,
think it's that would be in the horror genre, or do you think it's more action? Just very violent, gory action.
but it's a killer, right?
Yeah, but he's.
But he's programmed.
I don't know. It's hard. Like that, I really had trouble figuring out where to put it.
Yeah.
Anyway, then also we still have a couple of copies of. Hello. Join me in the show.
I'm trying to find that.
Still have
movie.
copies of Enter the Dragon in 4K to give away, as well as.
You're such a jerk. I'm right here.
As well as new copies of the 4K release of the original Exorcist that's coming out. This perfect gift to prepare for the Exorcist Believer that's coming out soon. So I'm very excited for.
It's Philippines and South Korea.
It's Philippine?
Well, they're on a ship from the Philippines to South Korea. Where'd I find out?
I'll find out for you. Anyway.
It says language Korean. It's Korean.
Okay. So anyway, we got the Exorcist as well. So that's what we got for offers, and we got a couple more coming soon.
Mm-hmm. That's it, my friends. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. Go find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Hive.
You have Hives?
You do.
Join us next week. Hopefully we'll be back like a normal thing for an all new episode of hollywoodmatrimony.com. Everybody has a wonderful week, and peace out.
Peace be with you, my friends.